Hello and welcome to What's Your Story? We have a very interesting guest this hour with a very interesting story. Her name is Kim Bullock Hennix. And this is Kim. Kim, welcome.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you here.
I'm honored to be here.
It's going to be a fun interview because I'm going to let you do all the talking. I'm just going to say, Kim, what's your story? And then let you go.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Kim, what's your story?
Wow, okay. So I am a lifestyle, as you already said, an abundance coach. And I love to empower women to be the absolute best version of who they are. And I love also having the opportunity to be present today, to change lives and just make a difference in the community.
Great. Well, it's a real pleasure to have you here with us. I wrote down some things about you. I'm going to tell the audience, but I have to read them because there's so many.
Uh-oh.
There's so many. Kim is a lifestyle and abundance coach, as she said. She is also a highly requested, results-driven abundance mindset expert. She's a Royal Protocol spiritual teacher. We want to know more about that. She's an elite award-winning author and coach, a transformational speaker, revolutionary leader, founder and advocate for the ambitious women's movement, and Kim enjoys enriching her community as an executive producer and show host for her premier featured podcast, Brown Sugar Rodeo.
Yes.
Radio,
yeah.
not rodeo.
Yeah, radio. That might be next.
Just think of all the cool Western outfits you could wear with the big hats.
Absolutely, and the boots. I'm there.
Yeah. I don't think I ever heard of a Brown Sugar Rodeo.
We have today.
But you got a great podcast with a great name, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
So Kim, you've won all these awards. I've got a list of awards here for you that you earned second place in the Las Vegas Entrepreneur Magazine Top 25 Authors in January of this year.
Yes, this year.
Rewarded third place in Las Vegas Entrepreneur Magazine for Top 25 Life Coaches this year. You got all the list, right? Okay.
Just about.
Awarded Most Influential Woman, April 2021 in Exposure Magazine, and honored as a top 50 Most Influential Women in VIP Global Magazine in May of this year. You've had a pretty successful year.
So far, absolutely.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, I'm just really blown away.
And you've been on the cover of some of these magazines. I've seen your pictures on Facebook and other social media.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So what does this mean, this Royal Protocol spiritual teacher? What is that?
So if you want to look at my title in full as a lifestyle and abundance coach, what that is, I actually specialize in abundant mindset expertise. And I am a spiritual royalty, woman who is a guru in that aspect, right? Because I really want women to reign supreme as queens and truly just operate in the power of their royal inheritance. And so what I've discovered, though, working with women as a coach, is that there's a disconnect, okay? And that disconnect is where we have many women who are religious, but they're not spiritual.
Isn't that interesting?
Very few are spiritual. So then I come in, right, as the mindset coach, who's also, right, I'm very, very heavy on spiritual royalty, and I merge that gap between spirituality and their royal position. And what I discovered through coaching women is that there's a lot of women who are operating with a princess mentality in a queen's body.
Whoa.
And as a mindset coach, I have to move and shift the paradigms that are keeping women buried and that are weighing them down from truly achieving that full capacity of success that they can have, because what's happening is they're building. Right? They're building their life. They're ready to be ambitious. They're ready to be successful, but they're building with rituals and not relationship.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Absolutely. So my job as a lifestyle and abundance coach is to help them see the royal protocol, who they are, right, as joint heirs, right, with Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian spiritual teacher, all right, and I'm not here to impose my beliefs on anyone, but I call him God. And I just really feel it's important if you don't have the spiritual piece and the mindset piece, there's only so far that your success will take you in life. And so my job is to help stimulate the spiritual immune system and help queens really play full out into their royal calling.
That's very interesting. I read your book.
Yeah, right, several times.
Yeah.
Right.
I read your book. And
Yeah.
what is the name of your book?
So my book is The Birth of an Ambitious Woman. And it's something that it starts out with my own personal story and journey.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a guide for, spiritual awareness, mental abundance, and physical healing.
And you talk about being birthed into greatness. What does that mean?
Absolutely.
Birthed into greatness.
So Birth into Greatness is a chapter in my book.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about how there's, how the cliche that we hear, oh, she's keeping up with the Joneses. She's doing too much.
Yeah.
Why do you always got to, try to keep up with them? But what happens is there's a lot of us who aren't doing enough, right? They think, oh, well, she's doing all this extra stuff. What about those who are living beneath their means? You're doing yourself a disservice.
Beneath their abilities.
Beneath their ability. Well, let me rephrase means. From the day we were born, we were created with everything we need within us to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's our responsibility to tap into that.
Right.
And so if we're not tapping into the greatness that's already within the seeds that have already been planted, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
And so Birth into Greatness, when you look at that acronym, Birth into Greatness, it spells B-I-G. Birth into Greatness, which is big.
Ah.
And I tell queens, there's nothing small about you. There's nothing small about you. You have everything within you to be dynamic, to be successful, to be extraordinary, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have to know that.
Right.
So I bring an awareness that, God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. And so if you feel like you don't have what it takes to be successful, or you feel like you've been knocked down by life, I want to tell you that God gives His hardest battles to His strongest soldiers.
Yes. Yes.
And you can make it.
Yes. But so many people are raised in environments where they're not encouraged. They don't have someone to tell them that you have everything within you, that you're great, that you've got the power. So what do they do? How do you get through to those people that they've just never had somebody to encourage them?
So I actually had a client with those exact, characteristics you just named in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I find that every morning I wake up and I pray. And I say, God, lead me to the people who needs me the most. Whenever God wants to bless you, whenever He wants to, help put you on the right path, because,
Mm-hmm.
we have our permissive will that we choose for ourselves, and then there's His divine will, the one He created us to serve. What happens is that He'll send a person. Doesn't have to necessarily be family, right? It could be a coach, it could be a therapist, it could be a mentor, such as yourself, right? He's going to send someone. It could be your neighbor. He will allow that opportunity to happen, but are we open and ready to receive that?
Mm.
Right? There's billboards. He don't even send a person. Sometimes he'll send, have you seen those billboards when you're driving down the street? God loves you. You're like, really, God? Okay, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way He's going to get a message to you. So we just got to pay attention to the signs. The other day, I want to share this brief story. My daughter was feeling down, and she was crying in the car, over something happened at school, and I said, sweetie, we've got angels all around us. Don't worry. I said, we've got angels protecting us and keeping us and guiding us. I said, because, His word says He's given angels charge over us. I said, so don't worry about a thing. I said, you've got a guardian angel by your side. So lo and behold, we get out of the vehicle, we close the door, we're heading in to our door to our home. And I looked down, and there was a feather on my door. And I told my daughter, look at that. Now, ordinarily, you would think, oh, that's just a bird feather. That doesn't mean anything. No, there's signs and wonders, rather it's numbers that He'll give us, billboards that He'll give us, feathers on your door. There's always little signs to let you know you're not alone.
Yes.
So for the individual that feels that they're hopeless, there's different resources. That's the thing. We have to be our own rescue at times. You know, if your mom's not giving you what you need, you know, God forbid, but, you know, if you don't have a parent that's nurturing that area of your life or a family member, then we got to be our own rescue, and we have to find the resources to get through those times.
But so many times I find that people don't have that.
Absolutely.
I was very fortunate that I was raised in a very Christian home, and my mother probably loved her kids more than anything in the whole wide world. And she taught us lessons. She gave us a lot of lessons. And I find that today, when I'm coaching or dealing with a lot of people, they didn't have that. They didn't have someone who sat down and talked with them, or maybe
Very
they didn't
true.
have anyone that explained the Bible stories, because the Bible is hard to read. You have to
Yes,
admit
yes,
it's hard to
absolutely.
read. There's a lot of things in there that are written in code, and
Absolutely.
they're hard to understand. And so maybe we didn't have someone to explain that to us.
I agree.
And that was one of the things I liked about your book, is that you actually explained a lot of things that might have been difficult for people to understand if you hadn't explained it to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I talk about the story in the very beginning of my book, how I was a little girl. My father was active duty military. And we had the privilege of living in Germany and England and Japan. And this particular time of my life, I was 5 years old. And I opened up speaking about how we lived in Mildenhall Air Force Base, which was near Buckingham Palace. And I remember being a little girl, being excited whenever my dad would take me to see the Queen, right? So at 5 years old, I'm hollering and screaming, "Your Royal Highness, Your Royal Highness." And at that time, I didn't realize that a Royal Highness is a princess or a prince.
Yeah, a queen's not a royal highness.
Right.
Yeah.
And I started looking at my own life. And as I began to grow and study more about royal protocol and the way that the dynamics of the royal family, that I realized she's a royal majesty, right? And so that's what happens in our life. We get caught up in the wrong titles, right? In the wrong time of our lives. And we're operating with a royal highness mentality when we should be at a royal majesty level.
Yes.
You know, and so
Yeah.
I talk about that in the spiritual aspect as well. We're still walking around royal majesty, when God's given us the power to declare and decree everything that we desire as a royal majesty.
Exactly. Exactly. So let me ask you this. I have a whole list of questions ready for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
You have a retreat coming up in January of 2022 at the Bellagio in Las Vegas. What's that retreat going to be about?
Oh my goodness. So I'm so excited because this is the first retreat that I'm doing. Normally, I'm known to be, you know, the event queen here in Vegas. I love having 75 to 100 women in the room, and we have vendors, but this is different. I wanted something more intimate for women, you know, more personal, where they could get more of my one-on-one time. Events are good, but they're exhausting.
I know.
They're exhausting. Okay, you are just tired by the end of that event because you're trying to give to this and this and this, and this one's pulling you. And I said, I need to really touch, because 2020 was such a painful year. I want to have an intimate space of healing. So I designed Ambitious Women Crown, a Queen's Luxury Retreat, which is going to be held at the Bellagio.
That's pretty luxurious in itself.
There you go, yes. One of the most prestigious resorts and casinos here in Las Vegas, because that's what our queens deserve, right? And this retreat is going to be used as a tool to help stimulate that spiritual immune system that I was talking about by designing their life and teaching them how they can live life on royal standards now, instead of living it with ordinary standards they may have had in the past. Right? And so I'm just excited because it's a 3-day retreat where we can come together. Day 1, we're going to do denim and diamonds, where they dress up. Day 2 is chucks and pearls. Day 3 is the royal extravaganza, where we have a coronation ceremony. They're going to get crowned queen, because I want them to feel worthy of wearing that crown.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm just excited about that.
And how many people are you going to have in that retreat?
Only 20.
Only 20. That's a
it.
limited number.
Very limited. Very limited.
But that'll be very personal.
Absolutely.
And that's what you want.
That's exactly what I want, because I feel that I can have a deeper connection and women will be more open to share their personal pains, right? Because I want them to learn your dream has to be bigger than the pain. I face my own personal painful issues, in situations in life, and I realized that my dream had to be bigger than the pain, or else we'll become paralyzed.
Yes, yes. But how can we make our dreams so big? Because so many times we think, oh, I'd love to do this, or I want to do that, but it's so big and I don't even know where to start. So how do they start? Where do they go?
The first thing that I would say is, if you have a dream and you feel stuck, that's a part of the fear that's kicking in, right? And fear is what? False evidence appearing real. I love acronyms.
I do too.
I got to break it down to really understand, what does this word truly mean? How does it apply to my life? So when you look at false evidence appearing real, you start to dissect it and figure out, what's the true thing that's holding me back? What is it that's keeping me from playing full out? And it's because a lot of us are scared to be inconvenienced, to get to that level of convenience, that level of luxury, that level of royalty. So once you discover what is that true fear that's holding you back, I want to say, feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Because fear is nothing but a psychological prison.
Yes, and I've heard it said, and I believe this, that you either have faith or you have fear. But you can't have both at the same time.
You cannot.
So if you really
both.
and truly have faith, as we know a lot of people who are religious say they have faith, do they, if they're still fearful?
Religious people are working on rituals, as I spoke about earlier. You're showing up on church, Easter Sunday is the thing to do. Showing up Mother's Day, you have a form of godliness, but you don't have the relationship. You don't have that deep intimacy with God. And so what happens is, because you have a form of godliness, you're still operating in your own human capability. When you want to think so big that it scares you, that's when you've allowed God to just come in and allow him to be the pilot of your life. You trust him wholeheartedly. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to be butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between a little bit of anxiety and fear.
Absolutely.
We might want something to work right, but it doesn't mean we're so scared we're not going to try it.
Absolutely. And so that's what happens, is you have to think big to achieve big. And then when you think big, beyond what you can achieve within yourself, that's when you know that you're really walking in your divine purpose. It's that blind faith. People, they look at me, they say, "Is that crazy faith?" Yeah, I've got that crazy faith where I just trust God wholeheartedly, and he's leading the way, and that's when I get my biggest miracles, when I do that.
I know. When I got cancer a few years ago, I prayed a lot during that first couple of months, and I really listened. When I was a child, I used to pray a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd go to my mom and I'd say, I talked to God about it, but God didn't answer me. And she'd say, "Yes, he did." He said, "No."
Wow.
If you didn't get an answer, you got to know, right?
Yes.
So when
I
I got the cancer, I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, and then I learned to sit down and listen and see if I could hear the answer. And like you say, it was interesting because I was praying to see, am I doing the right thing? I decided not to go with traditional radiation and chemo. I decided to go with the naturopathic healing process. And I kept asking God, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing?
Right.
And I was up in Cedar City, Utah, and I'd been to the doctor that day, and I'd pretty much decided to go with the natural with the naturopath and the natural healing. And he sent me to a chiropractor on the way out of town. He said, "Go over there and get your neck fixed because you look like you're in a lot of pain, and I've made you an appointment." So I went over there, and when I went in, I went to the bathroom, and because it's a 3-hour drive from here up there and then 3 hours back. So I thought, well, I'll go to the bathroom while I'm here.
Right.
And I was in the bathroom and I looked up and there was a sign on the wall. And it said, "The power that made the body heals the body. It is the only way."
Wow.
So I ran out and I said to my assistant, come in here. You got to come in the bathroom. You got to look at something. And she came in and she looked at the sign and she said, "Well, you've been praying for a sign." I said, "Yeah, but I thought I was going to get a white dove or a rainbow, you know. I didn't know I was going to get an actual sign."
There you go.
And she laughed about it later and she was telling people and she said, "I think Judy's the only person I know that God writes her notes personally."
Personal note.
And
I love it.
I thought it was a personal note to me because it was so true.
Mm-hmm.
So when I wrote my book about overcoming cancer, A Journey of Faith,
yes.
I put that right in the front because it really impacted me that day. And after I read it, I got this peace, this incredible peace over me. And I have a friend that's a Mormon missionary up in St. George, and when I was coming back, I stopped and I told her about it, and I said, "I got this peace." And she said, "Well, when you get that peace, that's God talking to you. You know that you've made the right choice."
Wow.
And I was like, wow, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I love it.
And so then I started really watching during that whole process of getting well. I kept watching the signs, and they just kept showing up.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
kept showing up, kept showing up, kept showing up. And it was awesome. So when I hear what you say,
yes.
I know, yep, she's right. I know.
Yes.
Because I've been there.
Yeah. Okay, I live in witness. It's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
And we just have to pay attention to the signs.
We do.
Right.
And you never know where that sign is going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I always thought I should get a white dove. I didn't get that white dove yet.
Not yet. It might show up somewhere else.
So how did it feel to earn the most influential woman of the year by Exposure magazine? How did that feel?
Oh my goodness. So let me tell you, I did not know that I was going to receive that. It was just a complete surprise. And my favorite scripture is Jeremiah 33:3. "Call unto me, and I will show you great and mighty things which you do not know." So when I earned that honor, that was the scripture I put when I posted it on my social media, because I had no idea God had those kind of plans for me. And it's amazing because what ended up happening was I lost my husband in August of 2020, tragically,
I know.
right, unexpectedly. And during those dark moments, you feel like you're all alone. You're like, God, what's going on here? Because not only did I lose my husband, but I lost my business partner, my confidant, my lover. My husband did my videography for me, my photos, for my cover for the book. He was so influential.
He was a great guy.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Whew, I'm trying to hold it in. So what happened was during those darkest moments was when I got the closest to God. Because I felt there was no other medicine for my pain. There's no amount of food, amount of music, amount of working that can heal that.
No.
Because my heart had been sliced open.
Yes.
So I took a break from social media, and people were worried. They're like, "Kim, are you okay? You all right?" Because I'm the social media queen. I'm constantly producing content, and I just got ghosts for a minute because I had to take that time away to fill my cup. And during that time was when I started realizing people were watching how I handled that. So it's okay when you're on top of the world and you're motivating women and you're telling them be all you can be when life is great. But what I found is the biggest character building moments are when you are in the valley.
Exactly.
So during that time, it seems like the spotlight got even brighter on me. They're like, "Oh, she lost her husband, what's going on?" Then after that, I lost my nephew, then I lost my cousin. It was like back-to-back deaths. And I'm like, whoa, God, what is going on here? I can only handle so much.
My mother always said that God won't give you more
No,
than
you can bear. Right. I said, God, you got a sense of humor. I said, Lord, this is not good. So during that time, I took some time off, And I decided I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back stronger. I have to now, just instead of looking at my story as something that is the sad sob story of Kim, I have to make it my survivor's anthem now. Mm-hmm. I've got to come back, with all vengeance. And that's why I said, I'm going to go hard in the paint. My husband loved basketball. I said, I'm going to go hard in the paint. I'm going to score 3 points for you. And I decided to take the memories of him and use that to propel my success. And all of a sudden, I was just everywhere. I was speaking here. So during that time, to answer your question, the short version, that's why I said it surprised me, because I felt, I'll be honest, when I got the award, I was surprised because I felt like, why me? I really was in a dark pit, and you're highlighting that. But they said, Kim, it was how you responded to that is what we respect the most. So it was one of the highest forms, I would say, of humility.
It was quite a compliment to you.
Absolutely.
Quite a compliment. Because I know how difficult that was for you. I was there back when that happened, and it was a very, very tough time.
Very hard.
Very tough. I remember when I met you. Do you remember that?
Yes.
We were both speaking at an event, and I was sitting over at a table by myself, and you and your daughter came in, and you sat down with me, and we just hit it off.
We
it was
hit it
wonderful.
off. Like we knew each other for years.
Yeah. And your daughter's such a pleasure.
She loves you.
How old is she now?
15 now.
Wow, she's grown up, huh?
She is, too fast.
And I heard that she's becoming quite the speaker.
Yes, she was speaking at an event 2 weeks and was paid to speak.
All right.
Brought product and sold all her product out too.
She has her own book and everything, doesn't she?
Not a book yet. You just manifested that. I told her the other day, I said, Kayla, God's showing me a book in your future. She's like, oh no. I said, I see a children's book.
I thought she had a book.
Not yet.
Well,
but I believe it
maybe
too.
I see it, know. Maybe it's happening.
I'm going to tell her. I'm going to say, Miss Judy said you need a book.
Yeah. So we've only got a little bit of time left, and I'd like you to tell our audience what is the greatest takeaway that you want people to have from your being here today. What message are you sharing that you want them to walk away with and put into effect in their lives?
I would say we all have different challenges that we face in life, highs and lows. And what I want for you to know is there's a phrase that I give my ambitious women. And it's called 2 simple words, but 2 powerful words. And it's crown on. And what I mean by that is every morning when you look up in the mirror, when you look at yourself in the mirror, I should say, I want for you to know that you have an invisible crown, a crown of honor, a crown of greatness, a crown, of abundance. And never let anyone knock that crown off. And if by chance, you get hit by life and your crown falls off, such as mine did in August of 2020, I want you to take back your crown. Take it back, start all over again, because God gives us 24 hours for a reason, right? It's a reset. Every morning you have that ability. As long as you're waking up with breath in your body, you have that ability to try again. So take back your crown.
I think my crown's sitting a little crooked right now.
Let me adjust it for you.
Okay, yeah. I think I need an adjustment.
Yes. But that's what queens do.
I know.
We adjust one another's crown and we cheer one another to success because there's plenty of room for all of us at the top.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because there was a time not so long ago when women competed with other women, and they didn't empower and support each other. Mm-hmm. And I find that younger women today are really doing that, empowering and supporting each
beautiful.
other. And it is. It's really a powerful thing. Kim, we don't have very much time left, but I'd like you to look into this camera over here and tell people how they can reach you, how they can get your book, where they can find you online, and anything else you want to tell them before we leave.
Absolutely. The first thing I want to tell you is sign up for the retreat. Please visit ambitiouswomencrownedretreat.com. You are going to have a phenomenal time with like-minded, powerful queens. It's January 27th through the 29th of 2022, and I'd love to have you join us. I'd love for you to, be in the environment where miracles are going to take place. And then secondly, you can visit my website at KimBullockHennix.com. You can see all of my latest information, latest products that I have available. That's also where you can receive my book at. And please follow me on social media. My Facebook and my Instagram are KimBullockHennix.com. LinkedIn is as well too. And then it's funny because Twitter only gives you so many characters, and Clubhouse is Kim Bullock Henny. Not Hennessy like the drink though, Henni. So it's funny. So you can follow me on Clubhouse as well, and Twitter, Kim Bullock Henny. Okay, so I'd love to, collaborate, and I definitely want to empower and change as many lives as possible. And thank you so much. I want to tell you for allowing me to have this space to pour.
I'm thrilled to have you here. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. I know my audience is going to love you. I love the whole concept of being a queen.
Thank you.
I think it's something that a lot of women haven't thought about. Mm-hmm. And it's a very good concept that you're sharing, and I appreciate that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you for being here with us today. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, please get in touch with me, Judy, Judi, at JudyMoreo.com. That's Judi at JudyMoreo.com. Get in touch with me and let's share your story either here on the TV show, or if you want to write a book, let me know and I can help you do that. So take care, and we'll see you next week.